Welcome back. So our second option for creating art with our spirit animal is similar to the tracing / lightbox method in that we are using an existing image and we are going to be manipulating that existing image for our own purposes. There are two ways that you can do this. Either you can take a page out of a mixed media pad, a Bristol paper pad, a watercolor pad, again, something that's heavier duty, preferably than just printer paper, because if we're applying art supplies to it, we don't want it to tear when we add water or when we get a little bit rough, smushing paint around with our fingers. So the first thing you can do is use a blank piece of paper like we did with the last one. And I'm going to tear out a piece of paper. You can keep it in your sketchbook. You don't need to rip it out. I just like to rip it out. It's easier for me to manipulate. And the other thing you can do is to take some paper that already has a background on it. What I do in my spare time is I get out watercolor paper and I just dump some water on it and dip different colors into the water because it's fun to watch the colors spread. And I also, when I'm done using my paint, when I've squeezed some paint out on my palette, which happens to be my desk, I will take that paint and I will just smear it on some paper that I have lying around, just so I'm not wasting the paint. That's kind of what I'm showing you here, because I have some paint out already from our first lesson. I just smear the paint around just to get it off of my palette and not waste it. And then after it dries, I have all these sheets of random backgrounds lying around that I can pull out and use as a basis for other projects. Sometimes I love starting with a blank page with a fresh white sheet, and sometimes it's kind of fun to have something to remix, essentially. Something that's already existing that you can remanipulate and reinvent and reuse. So I was just smearing the colors around a little bit more so I could use this as a background. I'm probably going to use this watercolor one just because it's fun. And again, this was just playing around with watercolors. I save these sheets because then I can use them at a later date. Sometimes I rip out corners that I can then paste onto other pieces, and then you have an infinite supply of creativity. So I'm going to show you both of these methods, the blank paper method and the background method, not because they're super different, but just so you can see. It makes a little bit of a difference, I feel, when you're starting with the blank page because you don't have that background. And so to realize that you will be creating your background around your character, around your spirit animal, and it could influence what media you use. So here we go. The first thing I'm going to do is take one of my printouts, this adorable little baby giraffe, and I'm going to cut it out. You can also rip it out. You don't have to cut it out. Considering how much I use my hands in my artwork, it's a little bit humorous to me that I felt compelled to pick up the scissors. So you've got your little cutout. It doesn't have to be exact. The next thing you're going to do is take some gloss medium. This I got at Walmart as well. I live in a small town. Walmart's pretty much the only store that we have here. So despite all the controversy about Walmart, I use Walmart a lot. So gloss medium, you can also get matte medium. Some people prefer matte medium because it doesn't have that glossy finish. I don't really care, so I'm using gloss medium. And this works essentially like a glue. It's clear. I'm just squeezing some out onto my desk here. You can see it squeezing it out. I'm going to use my finger. You could also use a brush. I'm going to apply, I have to decide where I'm going to put my giraffe on my paper. Maybe over here, over down here. Here, and then I could make the neck longer, I guess. So I'm going to smear some gel medium on my paper first. And I have a little bit of acrylic from where I was just adding to that other background later. So it's a little bit colored, which doesn't matter. So you can see I've smeared it on my paper. Then I'm going to put my little cutout on top of that smearing. I underestimated the size of my cutout, so I just have to add a little bit more. Got it there. And then you can, I like to go ahead and smear more gel medium on top Some people don't. Some people prefer to just go ahead and paint right on top. But I especially smear it around on the edges, and I like to smear it on top because I like to be able to press down and make sure there's no air bubbles, etc. So essentially I just glued my picture to the paper. And I'm going to cut off this little edge here. The next thing we're going to do is start layering media on top. And again, the focus is joy. What colors do you want to use? I don't care that a giraffe is normally, you know, yellow and brown and kind of orangish. Maybe I want to create a pink giraffe. Maybe I want to create a yellow giraffe with green spots. Maybe I don't even want the spots, but maybe I'm feeling compelled to make a very loose, like scribbly interpretation of the giraffe. There are no rules. This is about you and your creative expression and feeling what is going to bring you joy as you work with this energy of your spirit animal. So I am going to play around with, I think I'm going to play with some more acrylics. I am also going to go ahead and, because there's going to be a background around here, add some background or add some pieces I can play with my background. All I'm doing is taking some tissue paper, some wrapping tissue paper, which again I got at Walmart, and I'm going to rip little pieces off. And I'm going to take some more of this gel medium and I'm just going to cover my entire background. And then I'm going to rip little pieces of this off and just randomly place them in my background. So here we go. Here we go. Whoop. All right, so I've covered my sheet and now I'm just ripping off little pieces. They're kind of coming off as rectangular and I don't really want that. And so I'm just sticking this down onto my paper and then with a little bit more gel medium on my finger, I'm rubbing back over it to make sure that it's adhered to the paper. And I need some more gloss medium. And this is just a really fun way to get some movement and get some patterns in the background that you can continue to play with. It's fine if you end up covering this all up. This is just a starting point. Nothing that we do here is permanent. And everything we do here is art and expression. So if you want to express yourself a different way, if you want to express the energy of your animal medicine in a different way, absolutely have at it. Absolutely. So here we go. And one more little piece. I'm gonna tear that off. So it's just to put some fun color, fun starting place. So that's what we've got. Literally just ripped off pieces of tissue paper, again from the gift wrapping section at Walmart, and used gloss medium to adhere them. So I'm going to flip the camera around so you can just watch me play around. This is your starting point. You can put any media on top. If you're going to use something like watercolor, I would suggest that you use the matte medium. 2, I would also suggest that you wait until the gloss medium dries. Because all of the media I'm working in is relatively opaque and wet, or responds very well to wet. For instance, these water-soluble oil pastels, the Portfolio series, they will smear and brush around almost like watercolors when you add water to them. So I'm very comfortable applying these to this piece. All right, I'm going to flip you around.